Welcome to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. This is Chris Miller. I invite you to join me as I interview artists from a variety of disciplines. We'll share powerful stories and lessons learned while making their art.
Good day. This is Chris Miller with the Spiritual Artist Podcast. Many of you don't know this, but I have been traveling around Dallas-Fort Worth and presenting to different arts groups. And I present about my book, and we do some visioning exercises and talk about the chapters. And during one of these presentations, I met my next interview, and his name is Charles McDowell. I'm really excited about this because he approached me after the presentation and told me a little bit about what he does. And it's very, very interesting. I think you're going to enjoy it. In case you don't know, I love doing this public speaking, and I will put a little plug in for this summer. I'm going to be speaking about my book in Provincetown, Massachusetts at the Art Love Gallery. So if you're in Provincetown this June, look me up, stop by and enjoy one of my presentations. Now, Charles came up to me and he said, after the fact, I think he reached out to me, Charles, and he told me that he'd love to be interviewed on the show. He likes the book and he loves the podcast. So Charles is a mixed media artist, and he considers himself an outsider artist. New term for me. I had never heard it. I really enjoy it. He also identifies as bipolar. And so his goal here, I think, is to help us destigmatize the conversation around mental health. And he uses his art to work through that process. So without me saying any more, because I don't want to step on any toes, and I want Charles to say it in his own words. Good morning, Charles. How are you today?
Hey, how you doing, Chris? Good to be with you. And I'm ready. I want to see what's going to happen.
Ready. I am so excited, Charles. I love this conversation because I think all of us approach art for healing purposes. I really do. And when I was younger and first painting, it often came out of a feeling of being upset or emotional or disconnected or whatever, the emotions flying through me. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. With my art, I find it's an escape. And what made me connect really close to you was that you were talking about spirituality in your art and how you drive with it. And that's the same thing with me. Like, and plus when I was listening to you, I was like, yeah, this guy listens to Abraham Hicks and everything. So that's when I approached you. I don't know if you remember when I first approached you, that was like one of my first questions I asked was, do you listen to Abraham and those guys in that type of realm? So that's where I was at. And when you were talking, I was like, yeah, you put me right back there at that time. So that's what made me come up and talk to you in the first place was actually that. And then after I was reading your book for a while, seeing parts of things, listening to your podcast, I was like, yeah, this guy might give me a chance.
I love that it reached you, and I always love when it reaches people. And yes, I listened to Abraham Hicks. I still do, but I listened to her probably for 25 years. I kid you not.
It's hard to quit. Yeah, she's real hard.
And I study a lot of that new thought messaging. And so tell me about this. I mean, how have you discovered this aspect or this healing? Do you use art as therapy?
Yeah, that was our biggest thing. Well, when I started MyPolarLife, so biggest thing was to use art as our healing, our medication, sort of. Not to say that you don't do your medication, but to meet with people, because you feel better when you're around people like you. You know what I mean? When you have on the same frame of mind. So I was like making my own mastermind group with these individuals, my friends, and we were there. I had 200 and something members now, and in this group, but only like the most I ever had at the time was 8 people. So I was getting all this stuff together for the group to come, and it's 8 people show up, whatever. And we talked about art. We use art. We had like games we'll play by picking an emotion and then drawing from it or writing poems from it. And I did have more poets than, visual artists. So that was writing a lot, and I was, painting a lot. Drawing at that time, I was only drawing. Then after a while, I said, forget it. I want to paint, but I had never painted, before or tried to. And I look at the video, oil paints. Okay, I want to paint with oil paints. So I would only look at the image. I had nothing in my mind on how they did it. I just seen the image and I knew it was oil paint. So first time I tried it, I mixed oil with water. I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that. And, I had this good drawing that I made, and now I'm slapping this oil water paint on it. It didn't work out fine for me. It didn't work out too good. So I was getting ready, just give up. I was like, hey, I can draw. The group's happy with it. I can just draw. But it got to a point where I had to keep trying to paint. So I wandered around, found oil paints and oil paint sticks. And that one got me in there being able to use it. And it turned out I'll use the sticks and my fingers to paint. And when you're doing that, well, for me, when I'm doing that, it takes a lot of drive when you're going towards with it. It helps you. You sit there, you're doing it, and then all these emotions comes up while you're painting. And that's what makes it so hard for you to title your painting, because when you start with a title, maybe, or you start with some emotion you got, and that emotion evaporates during the painting, but then it comes back. You had all these other emotions through the painting, and now you got to come up with a title for the painting. Well, in my situation, there's a start with a title, but then that title won't match it anymore. That happens sometimes. I don't know if that happens to you. It's that type of thing.
Sometimes I can't even come up with the title.
Yeah, I've been there too.
So this is interesting, because I talk about that in my book too, but I talk about that your painting is a recording of your state. And when you say your emotions evaporate, I wonder, are we putting them into the actual canvas,
That's like that void right there between it evaporating and it coming back. I have a paintings that I'm working on now called A Void. And that was the whole premise of it, of what you just said. You said the whole thing of it easier than I did. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm gonna have to use that. All right.
Well, it's funny. You wrote this in your bio, and I'll share it with our listeners. You said your artwork is inspired by the complexity of the human mind and the void between mental illness and mental clarity. That's a wonderful statement.
Thank you. And it's true. It's a true statement. That's where I'm at. It's like every painting I do, if it's not something I'm just running and throwing at, because sometimes you got to do that to get yourself, if you ever, I don't know if you ever approach a painting, you're ready to paint, but your body and your mind is saying something else. You right there in that area between your mind and your heart, and you want to paint, then you want to paint there, but there's nothing there that you can grasp on, tightly, that you can really go with it. And so then you just dive into it and you're going and you find yourself, it's coming, it's more, you're getting clarity because your mind has just been scrambled trying to get to this point. And then clarity is coming and coming. Now you're in the void. Now then right after that void, whatever was in that void was just whatever it was right there in the void. Bam, now it's hopping onto the canvas. And you roll from there until you get back, and the same thing happens to you again, you're back stuck.
You know what, Charles, you're giving me goosebumps, because you just mentioned something that I've talked about with people, and I talk about the void. And for me, the void is that place of not knowing.
Exactly. It's a happy place for sometimes.
It is. And I feel like the longer you can stay there and listen to spirit, the more creative opportunities arise.
You fall into that flow. And I was listening to you when you were speaking at the vow. I was listening to that, and you reminded me of flow too, because that's the best place you can be. If you're in flow, you can you're drawing paintings, and then all of a sudden, you started at 7:00 and now it's 11, and you're like, oh man, I was there. You'd be happy about it. You look at your painting, I got that right. Uh-oh, boy, that was a little different, but I got that right. That's what I aim to get to. when I'm in the void, and then I aim to like go into flow. Then once I'm in that flow state, it's like a basketball player, shooting 3 pointers, and every time he goes down, wham, wham, he's hitting it. And then with my painting, I get there sometimes when wham, wham, I'm hitting it. I don't know if people are gonna like it, but for me at that time, it was great.
I love that, because it is, to me, it's about being in that place. And I think so many of us get so focused, especially here in the Western society. We always want to produce.
Yeah.
And for me,
if you're flowing, you're not even thinking about none of those things anymore. Because I find that to be the hardest thing with art, with me doing my art, is that you have to do art to sell to someone, and you also have to do, especially with mental illness, you have to do art to keep you straight, keep you cool. So when I found out with my group, that's what was working with us. And the whole object of art and having an art group and an art thing is to inspire one person. I know that's putting a low bar, but I want to be able to inspire one person every time I do something, like with my art. And that's what I try to do. And I find that most artists do, they want to inspire people. They want you to see something that you never seen before, like a brand new image. That's what we do. That'd be going too far. Well, we're spiritual image makers. How does that work?
No, I think it's true. We're trying to create something that might not even be around us, or at least hard to conceptualize, right?
Like, don't you find that a trip? Like when you're talking to people and you're just having a regular conversation, then they say something, but you can't just, and your face I don't know if my face changed or not, because I can't see my face, but they say something or they give you a feeling of something, and with me, I'm just like, oh, I got that. Thank you very much. I can go paint that a little bit. That's somewhere I can, add to what I'm thinking, and that's what I do.
Oh, neat.
I don't know if you know what, like, how do you get to yours? Like, what's your the pattern? I guess, can I use pattern to make you get there? Because or no, it wouldn't be pattern. It'd be like when like people do the same thing over and over to start something. We're like,
it is. It's like it's like their process. It's what is your
process first? Yeah.
I do follow a similar process, and I don't pre-plan my stuff.
I don't do that neither. That's cool. I don't do that neither. I don't pre-plan it. Yeah, image hits me, and I never ever hit the image that's in my mind. I have never been able to successfully paint it, because during the painting, like we were talking about earlier, your emotions and everything change, and then you fall into that void. But even though that word or that situation brung that on, but it was like your starting point. And then you get there, that one faded, and like you're running into other things that people said. And like even now with me doing this, it's gonna run into my head for a while, and I'll use it. I'll use it somehow. I know it might not be tomorrow or the next day, but I know it's gonna come back. That's because with my I don't want to call my I don't want to call it my illness, and I don't want to call it my gift, because it's a gift for me to a certain extent. If I'm not doing the right things for me to get by on regular life, then that make it I don't know what my art would be better than or worse. But if I'm just doing the right things and getting in and doing it towards my art, it helps me a lot with my my mental health. That's what I go with. I go with mental health.
So let me unpack that. So
okay.
It's because what I heard there is trying to define what this is to you. What does it mean to be bipolar, and how does this affect me? Is it a curse? Is it a gift? Is it both?
It's both. That's what it is. It is both. I've been down the road where it's been real bad, and and that bad helped me get to something that's great. If that bad would have never happened, I wouldn't be speaking to Chris Miller right now. I'll be dealing with that nothing. the void, the bad part of the void. I'll be stuck there. But I have art and then I have this mental illness, or not illness, with mental health. I can't find a word for that.
I know.
So
Well,
it's no word for it.
I'll tell my listeners. I was cautious about this interview. What's the PC way to present this? And I'm like you. I don't like to use any word that hints at negativity.
Exactly, because that's the spot you're trying to get away from. I mean,
Right.
you're pushing yourself back down once you use that word. So what we did, we call it in my group, we call it a gift. Every time when we stepped inside our meetings, it was easy to do this with 8 people. This is going to be our gift when we're here. And that's how we did it. We used it that way.
And it truly is. It's like a mental situation or whatever, because it's not who you are either. Because I do believe that you are an eternal being behind all that. And I will share this with my listeners, because I did it I talk about it in my presentation. I think we bring all of us, when I say all of me, to the easel. And I have issues. I had laser surgery on my eyes, and they screwed up my eye. They screwed up my left eye, so I see.
Was you getting phantoms?
Yes. I get like steps, right?
Yeah.
I'll get like 3D dimensions. And if you look at my art, I brought that into my art, because when I paint, some woman looked at one of my pieces of work once and she said, well, it's 3-dimensional, but it's not right. She said, it goes like in different directions. And I said, I think it's because of my eye. Mm-hmm. And so we bring all of us to the studio. Yeah. And if it's being bipolar, if it's having a tic, if it's the intensity of who we are or how we think, all that happens on the canvas, right?
Yeah, especially when you're being you. And but being an artist is so hard, because you got to do commissions, you got to do shows that fit the theme, you got to do all these things, and that makes it hard. Like, it's like we get people come up and say, oh, hey man, why don't you paint this for me? I'll pay you this amount. And you're like, yeah, okay. But you don't know what exactly they want. You're playing that game. It's like a real bad game of golf, and you're playing it with a stick. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally, because I always, do I really want to do this? My art mentor, she told me that if someone hires you to do a painting, she said, do 3. And so one of them can be your interpretation of what this person wants. And then the other 2 can be just what they, give them what they want or something. But anyway, it gives you room. You know what I mean?
I can't believe you still have a mentor.
Everybody has a mentor.
Yeah, I do. I have one. Can I say his name?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, say it.
All right, Jose Hernandez. He's my mentor. And
how wonderful.
Yeah, he came my mentor like 2 or 3 months ago, and it seemed like since he became my mentor, I've been getting into more art things, and that's what's like met him through, and then met someone else, and that's why we're doing this show. And it's been cool.
Oh,
I
great.
mean, I thought it was going to be like this guy going to tell me, hey, you use these colors, that colors. No, he didn't. He told me just go with what you need. When what I need is me.
A good teacher supports you in being who you are. They don't want to.
That's exactly how he is.
And I've had bad teachers. I've taken classes where they're like, well, make it look like this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to look like you.
Exactly. You have no chance to become a great artist if you're doing like somebody else. They already became that great at that. Mm. And to me, this is what I watch with, because after I heard the term outside artist, a person, when I was going through one of those phases and I was at one of those places, he said, well, man, you're outside artist. And I guess he was somebody who knew about art or something. So I was offended at first, because like, oh, I'm not as good as everybody else. I want to say I'm good, and then at the same time, when I'm going on a downtime, I'm the worst artist on earth. I mean, I'm like a kid with one crayon, and I can't invent anything, and no paper. You're writing on the concrete with one crayon, but it's good to you, but to them it's nothing. And so when he told me that, I was like sort of offended. Then that offense made me look at it to find out what am I really offended about. And I started looking up things about outsider artists, and it's like the whole image of it was like, okay, it's like how bipolar is. It's a bad image to it, but at the same time, you produce something great with it. And I think you just the whole time is that you cannot let your bipolar becomes the whole thing. You have to be, since you're already bipolar, you already can go to one extreme to the other extreme, and you want those extremes in your art to clash, and then they make you, and then you get to be able to produce whatever you might produce that day. I don't know if I said that right, if you understand it, or did I lose you
No,
somewhere? I don't know.
no. You said a lot there, and so trying to. So you said you have extremes, and you're trying
Yeah.
to bring them together on the canvas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, well, at my worst time, my condition is when I was going through my situation. Like now, I'm pretty stable because I have to be pretty stable for me to actually be talking to you. There's been times I couldn't talk to nobody, and nobody wanted to talk to me. But luckily with that, I had a great support group in my family and all.
You said how do you bring that to the canvas? Because you're bringing that one extreme to the other to the canvas. You really are having to navigate your thoughts, right?
Exactly. And I think that's the most, I always wonder, because everybody who has this situation, look at it in different ways. You know what I mean? It affects them different. And I learned that through my group, through my polar. I learned from these great people that I was working with. I learned from them that, yeah, they're different. Because like when I first started it, I was like, well, everybody feels the same. It's not like a broke arm, it's a
Right.
broke arm. But your mental health it's not like that. Everybody approaches it, everybody feels different about it. And and when you get around people that are with you and you're not alike, but they have gave you the same type. Yeah, it's like a basketball, like back to a basketball team. They're a basketball team, but they all got different positions to play. And in the whole scheme of life and art, we all have different positions to play. And I try
Yeah.
to play mine at the best I can.
Well, let's talk about that. I looked at your art. Our viewers could check it out after this podcast, but I see very human type shapes, but almost amorphous, where they kind of merge together.
Yeah.
And or break apart. It's got a very unique style to it, in a sense. So how do you feel about that? Do you have something that you're focused on in each individual painting, or is there an overall message about that?
Like how you were talking earlier, we have most artists got different styles that they do. And like right now, from the paintings that you're talking about right now, I'm going through a situation where I want to step forward, but at the same time, something's inside me that's holding me back a little bit. So those are the void paintings. Everything you see with the guys clashing, are they really clashing or are they embracing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like how you look at it. Is that an embrace or is it a struggle? And that's what's happening right now in my head. So I did all those paintings like that. I thought I did 3, and I looked earlier, and I did like 12 of them. I'm like, what the heck, man? And and then you say, oh, but they're all the same, but they're not.
No, they're not.
And not as the image, but from each one of those paintings was a different time that I was feeling something. And I know that with me from over the years of being with me, that's eventually gonna change and my mind will be somewhere else and I'll be, producing that.
Well, it was one of my earlier podcasts. I talked to a guy that did dream art.
Lucid
Art.
dreaming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listened
listened to that. Was it the intuitive one?
No, that was another one. But the lucid dreamer, we talked about symbology and how we all have certain shapes that we gravitate toward, or icons. If you think of Basquiat, he had the crown, and so we get I think something in our minds, right? We get enamored with a shape. And I would say that those shapes that you're talking about, those separate yet together shapes that you've been painting, that's part of your creative DNA.
I like
Yeah.
how
And
you put that.
yeah, Charles, there's no limit to how many, think about Picasso or Matisse, how many angels, if you get enamored with something, there's something there for you to learn. Yeah.
All the time and with everything. That's why I feel that way. Especially my spiritual, well, like I consider like my spiritual journey is the same thing with my art. They're going down the street together. They're driving, and every once in a while one might try to hit the other one or whatever, but they're still driving. As long as I don't get them into a race, I'll be doing okay. If they're not racing each other, then I'm like, bam, I'm doing good. And how long would it last? I don't know, but I'm happy that it's going right now. I'm enjoying the journey.
Yeah, and me, I would tell you to let them merge.
Yo, yeah. Oh, they're gonna do that. Yeah, I was looking at that as a given. They're gonna merge. And when
Yeah,
they merge, that'd be a beautiful thing, man. That'd be a great thing. And I'm just looking forward to helping people. I don't know. And like what you were saying, Basquiat, I look at his work and I love it, but I love him more than I love his art. I don't know if you understand that. Like to me, as you look at Basquiat, you're like, this man did what he wanted to do, and right in your face, this is what I do. He wasn't like how I have been trying to fit my art to fit everybody else's so I can sell some. Nah, man, this dude came out there and said, I can't use any language on here, and he said, this is mine. I'm doing this, and that's great. But then if you look even harder, you can find some artists that was doing that with him. I mean, Picasso didn't become famous until he became Picasso. You know what I mean? He was doing what everybody else was doing, and then he started doing himself. And I think everybody should do themselves so we can see more images. That's what I believe. Like the group I'm working with now, Soda, it's Society of Depressed Artists. You look at their thing, and I'm like, man, everybody's here is doing something different. This is gonna be cool. This is going to be really cool hanging out with these guys.
Yeah, and I should share that with our listeners. It's called SODA, the Society of Depressed Artists, and you can find them on Facebook. Correct?
Yeah, you can find them they're on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't do Facebook. Only when someone says it's a new pictures there, I might look at it. But I mostly stay on Instagram because it's easier for me to navigate and I don't have to say a lot of stuff.
Right. Well, it's about the picture. It's about the image,
It's about
right?
Pictures. Yeah, exactly.
It's about the picture. So how long have you been involved with this Society of Depressed Artists?
Oh, we got together I said it's been like 2 months. It hasn't been long.
Wow.
But at first when my mentor hooked me up with them and he's like, okay, yeah, and then we decided to do a show. And this is like, man, I look back and I wrote this down before. I'm going to do a show about art and mental illness. Okay, but first one I did when we was doing with the group, I was so ecstatic. We had got a spot at the library, the little bitty window thing where where you can put stuff in. We got that, and I thought, oh man, I made it. Now, man, I'm in the in the library. I didn't know it was an easy thing to me. Well, anyway, I'll probably be rambling on, but I do that every once in a while.
No, you don't. Go ahead.
I met, how this worked out, I met Jose. I met Jose. And then I was also showing my art at the cafe Coral Reef. And when I met Jose, me and Brent or Landon, we got very cool. With me, he said I can show my work there. And I was like, this is cool, man. So when I met Jose and he introduced me to Lauren and we hooked up and they're like, hey man, let's do it. I said, let me see if we can get a show at the Coral Reef. And he said, cool, and it happened. And now I'm like, I want to stay with these guys because I'm getting this vibe that's working real good. And if we keep working together, it can be beautiful as long as we stay on the same track that we all agree on. Then man, it's gonna be nice. We're gonna be something to reckon with. Watch.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I had never heard of it, and so when you reached out to me and I started Googling it or checking it out, and I was like, oh, how wild! The Society of Depressed Artists, and of course, like I said earlier in the beginning of this conversation. I think so many artists, we start from that place where it's an introversion. Art is almost, in a way, it's an introversion, right? Because
Yeah.
we're going within and away from everybody else. It's not like acting where you're on a stage with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You're you alone in front of that canvas, and so it's sort of a introversion type effect. And so I think that's a great group, and I would encourage our listeners to look it up, because I'm sure a lot of them relate to this, and we all relate to. We can all relate to the challenges of our mind.
Exactly. The mind is a trip, man.
It is.
Yeah.
And it can help us, but it also can get in the way.
Yo,
Right.
since we're bringing up mental health, it can get it's, at times it can get real bad. 'Cause, sometimes life is not a win-win situation. You're gonna lose some battles, and when I did lose battles, it was real bad. Had to go to the places, hang out with the people who are like you. Like you can look at this, like this is the two extremes. When you're all down, you can be in one of those places, and you got to deal with those folks, and they straighten you out. Or you're doing real good, and you're with your art buddies, and you're creating stuff, and you're happy. And the happy medium is both of those happening at the same time for me. So for me now is to stay at my happy medium, my happy spot, and try to pull people who are down there where I've been. And I know how I went in there. I can't tell how they think, but I know that we're down in the same spot. We're together with that at that point. So the more I can pull people out of there, out of that bad spot, I feel very good about myself. And hopefully, since my illness doesn't care how good you feel, it doesn't care. Oh yeah, you're doing this for whom, or you're doing that for whom. It'll get you, and So I just got to stay straight on what I do.
It sounds like you're going to be a mentor, Charles.
I'm scared to do that.
I don't know. I think it's really coming. I'm hearing it. It's coming.
Oh, thank you.
I think the fact that you've gotten involved in these organizations. Did we mention this 45 Foundation?
Yes, that's what I wanted to get to. Foundation 45. They help people. They have actually doctors that come and help. They're not getting paid for it. It's a nonprofit group. This was make it so cool too. When we're doing our art, a percentage of our art always go to the foundation. Like with me even doing with wherever time I work with soda, the money from there, I think it's 15% or something like that goes to the foundation. And that's like the hookup for me. That what makes it work for me, because I know that it's going somewhere, and they have that, and they bring it with them, and I'm getting to join in doing that. Snaps.
So it's called. I inverted it. It's called Foundation 45.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's
and
correct.
It's a mental health awareness group. I do think that's a nonprofit.
Yeah, they're nonprofit.
They have a nice website too, and I'll put it in the description of this interview. But you're right. It looks like they offer all sorts of coaching and services.
Yeah.
There's a distinction in your work with these amorphic figures, and there's a feeling that you're capturing with those figures.
Thank you. That's what I try to do. Thank you very much. That's a serious compliment. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So tell me, so when you go in and paint, and we're talking about, mental healing, do you feel like when you're actually creating that you're kind of outside of your mind? Like,
I have been there. Yeah, I have been there. That's why. And I know when I've been there, I use this as I don't know, I can't find a word again. To know if I was there or not, it's time. I use the time thing. Like if I remember, if I was looking up every time to check my watch to see what time it was, so I had something to do, or something, that don't count, that I consider art everything, and everything else is just something that don't count. If I noticed that I lost that time and just went through it, then I know I was successful at what I tried to do. I got to my spot, I got to my flow spot. But if I'm looking down every time, I gotta, then I know I'm not getting there. Sometimes I back off, and sometimes I just go ahead and push through it.
Yeah.
Do you feel what I'm trying to say?
Oh, I do.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes what I'll do is sometimes I've learned I listen like for that impulse to react.
Mhm.
And if there isn't one, I'll just sit there. I'll
Yeah,
sit down, maybe listen to a song or just look outside the window until I look at that painting and I feel that next impulse, you know?
I got you. I figured out the word. I was knocking on the thing. Sorry about that. I figured out the word. Ritual is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Ritual. That, I mean, for me, like when you said you sat back, that would remind me of what the word was. Because I do the same thing. I smoke a cigar
Uh-huh.
and I just sit back there for a minute. Like, okay, this person said something, and I'm trying to see that in my head. I'm trying to feel it, and then how does that affect me? And then sometimes it'll boom, it'll happen. I smoke my cigar, you know, even like, how you see on the movies, the guy blow the smoke on their canvas and stuff.
Oh
I might
yeah.
do some, I might even do that every once in a while or whatever, wherever I'm at with it. And that's how, I have my rituals, to do. I think all painters do. I mean, almost people have to do a ritual. We do one in the morning when we have to go to work or what have you. So we have our thing, and I like that.
Yeah, ritual's very important. I talk about the importance of even having a little altar in your studio,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah. I read that in your book too.
yeah,
Yeah,
like lighting a candle or something you find on the street or something that means something to you. And, kind of taking that moment to,
yeah.
right. And just,
You
okay.
know that artists, they consider, well, according to my wife, I'm a pack rat. Because like you find all these objects. Oh, I can use this. I can really use this. This is a stick, but I can really use this stick. And next thing you know, yeah, like I don't know about you, but I got a whole bin of stuff. She says that's a problem too. Maybe I should go to doctor about that. But I, I like my sticks and cardboard that I found and stuff.
Everybody
Like
does that.
things that
Yeah.
you find. I think we all do that. We like pack rats when you become an artist. It's like part of the art thing. You get a pack rat box with you when you're leaving the store or whatever.
You do. I definitely feel that way. I'm always finding little things out in nature a lot, but even like old broken factory parts
Oh
uh,
yeah.
or I'll see something. I'll get out of my car and find something smashed
Oh,
on
you
the
did
side.
that one too?
Yes, I do that too.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So
I've done
so
that.
let me ask you: if someone's listening to this and they feel like they might have some challenges mentally or mental issues, what would you recommend for them to do?
I mean, that's straight out. That's scary for me to do, but I'll do it. I'll like I will have one instance of like someone that's close to me. They're going through mental health issues right now, and but they're a talented person, but they don't believe it. They're very, very talented. They write and they're very talented. What I do, I tell them to just pour yourself in that, and then also get out and
I'm
help.
sorry. Say that again.
Pour yourself into your talent. Pour yourself in there and use that. And also, I found that helping other people really helps you a lot. Doing things for other people. Like I do things for older people. That's one of my jobs. And that, doing that right there and the energy doing that helps me with what I'm doing with my art. So that's cool. Helping other people. That's why, get away from yourself. That's it. Get out of yourself. Go help somebody else. They don't have to be doing worse than you or whatever. Just helping, period. That's the best thing. I think from even closer to you pouring yourself into your talent or your thing you love, whatever what you want to call it, is helping other people. If you're helping other people, you can get away from yourself like that. You won't have to sit back and think of all because I mean, mental health is basically thinking way too much. If you just overdrive. Well, for me, it's like overdrive. You're just thinking so much. And so if you're helping somebody else, you start thinking about that. And then like so when you sit there yourself and that evil thing comes in and it's trying to beat you down, you got some ammunition to go against them. Well, I did this for this person, I done that, and I'm doing this. Don't be all cocky about it because you know how it is. It can whoop you when it wants to. So I believe helping other people is the main thing that that works the best for me. And I think other people, I believe in our soul that we all want to help each other. We noticed, how time is now. We got one nutty guy running around, but we can't get into that. But helping people is the big thing. It's the real big thing for me. So
Oh,
that's why I see that.
well, thank you for vocalizing that so well. I mean, I think both of those things, I love that, pouring yourself into your talent or pouring into it. And then I do feel like, I've had issues where my mind will race and
Yeah.
focusing outside, going like, look, what can I do for someone else? It just
Yeah,
gets
you
out.
get away from it. Just run from it. Hey, it's trying to get me. You go down the street, hey, I'm going to help this person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like, get out of your head, it's because
Exactly.
it's almost like it's a self narcissism or something. You're just so worked up. And I had some issues with IBS years ago, probably about 8 years ago, where
Mhm,
I started panicking about my stomach and just
mhm.
worried about, oh my God, what if I have cramps, or what if I have to go to the bathroom? And it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Got all
And
off of your chest floating in there. You got that feeling where it's floating in your chest and you're like, ooh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I know
yeah.
what
And
you're
so
talking about.
finally I just started thinking, okay, when that happens, just focus outside of it. How can I look for someone that needs help, or just get out of this, right? Get out of my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And
So I know you have to meditate a lot, don't you?
I try. It's part of my spiritual practice. I did a little bit of yoga this morning, and I every morning I read from a book. I'm reading a book on Buddhism right now,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah,
and
we
so
got a lot of things in common. I love Buddhism.
do
Yeah,
you?
I love Buddhism, man. I mean, I don't know all the stuff about it, but all of Eastern philosophy is like, man, they're pretty good. I even read The Art of War. It's a great book to me.
I
I
haven't
even
read that, but I heard I read somewhere that I should read that.
Yeah,
So
you can use, man. That's if you look at things and you wrap things around things, you can even wrap that book around your art. You can, and wrap that around how you help people. It's strategics, man. It's just and I think that's what psychiatrists and all that, they give us strategic ways to fight, your situation. You know what I mean? That's what
yeah,
I
like
think
a
that
tool.
yeah, I think when I look at it that way, I never looked at it that way before, but yeah, that's what they're doing. They're giving us, tools. Yeah,
Tools to get through it. Or
yeah,
rituals, if you want to say rituals.
yeah.
But
I wonder sometimes, do I love art much as I love doing it? So like I got over 10,000 pieces in my phone that I just look through every day, to get away. Hey, look what this guy doing. And I don't even know none of their names. I just have their images. I don't use none of their images in my stuff. I mean, hey, this guy's stealing everything. But yeah, I look through them and I see, I look through all those images and talk to the people. I try to talk to the soda group, their leaders in there. I try to talk to them every day. And it's inspirational talking to them. And then like how you were talking about the situation, like where when I don't let them know if I'm having a bad day. I try to say I'm having a great day all the time. No matter what, I'm having a great day. I'm gonna have, no matter if things are going real bad and it's obvious they're going bad, but I'm gonna having a great day. And I'm talking with them, it's about the same way. It's wishing great days and doing those things. I sort of got lost in that. I don't know where I went, but it'll come back eventually.
no, I think you said something quite lovely, which is about the importance of always talking positively, and
Yeah.
even if you're up against something, you just keep reaffirming the positive. Um,
Yeah.
Charles, what I get from this conversation is that you have developed so many different tools,
Thank you.
and that
Hmm.
so many different healthy tools that you're using to tame the beast.
Exactly. I like that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that works. To tame the beast. I got something from there. I'm using that.
Yeah.
that's that's
So,
that's what I'm going to use. Thank you very much.
well, is there anything else as we wind this up? Is there anything else you wanted to share in this podcast that's important to you?
Oh yeah. I would like everybody to come see our show. We're having a show on April the 7th. the Coral Reef is in Lewisville, Texas. For some reason, I didn't get to put in Coral Reef in Lewisville, Texas. April the 7th from 5:30 to 8. We're having a show there. It's going and it goes to support the foundation, and it's for mental health.
Oh, wow. Well, great.
Oh, yeah.
Well, definitely put that on my calendar.
All right,
And
cool.
I'll put their website. I'll put their website in the description as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
So it's the Coral Reef. Is that a gallery
It's
or
a coffee shop?
Oh, cool.
And he has music there. He's promoting us artists. That's his biggest thing. I tell everybody, hey, you want to show your art? You want to show? No, to me, that's the main thing. Show your art. Go there. He'll let you show your art there.
Oh, how wonderful.
I try to keep that to only the people in Lewisville. Let's keep that kind of secret.
Oh, well.
Okay. We got to have it first.
Yeah. Too late. But I love this. I love the positive talk. I love the importance of talking about mental health and kind of bringing it out into the open.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Hey, and I think you're going to be a mentor if you're not one already.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. Whether you're following the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, make sure you choose the subscribe button so you'll receive new segments when they're released. Plus, check out my new book, The Spiritual Artist, now available on Amazon.com. In the meantime, be still, listen, and know that you are a spiritual artist.